Myrtle Sarosa, a Filipino actress, cosplayer, and recording artist, was making her way from Tacloban to Samar in the Philippines when she and the people traveling with her had an experience that defied explanation. The stretch of road carries a deeply unsettling reputation among locals, who believe it is haunted by the souls of those who lost their lives when a nearby village was wiped out by a devastating hurricane. What their camera captured that night is genuinely chilling. The sight that greeted them on that road shook them to their core. A pale, ghostly-looking child completely still, seated in the middle of the road. They erupted into screams, utterly convinced they had just come face to face with something from beyond this world. A local man later came forward with a different explanation, however, saying the figure was no ghost at all, but an actual child with a mental condition who was known to sometimes wander out onto the road on his own. So here's the question. Is this truly just a lost child as the local insisted? Or could it be one of the hurricane's victims, doomed to roam that road as an unquiet spirit for eternity? That's for you to decide. Whitney Allen, a mother of two, lost her children's father in 2022 when he suffered a fatal brain injury. Late one night while she was checking the baby monitor, she spotted an unusual light hovering near her child's head. She wasn't sure what she was looking at, but the strange image immediately grabbed her attention. Whitney couldn't let go of the idea that this mysterious orb might somehow be linked to her deceased husband. To her, it looked as though it was tenderly patting and caressing the baby's head, a moment she felt could have been a gentle sign from beyond. Late one night, a man named John is startled by unusual sounds coming from his bedroom down the hall. He mentions that his home has a history of unsettling occurrences, so he pulls out his camera and cautiously peers through the doorway. What he records leaves him completely shaken. Inside the room, two mirrors are positioned facing one another, yet only one of them shows a disturbing, terrifying face staring back. John spins around to look, but finds absolutely nothing behind him. Tucked inside a modest apartment, one man has surrounded himself with religious objects, crosses, scripture passages, and handwritten prayers filling almost every corner of his home. To anyone passing through, it might look like simple piety, but the truth is his relentless praying started after something deeply unsettling happened to him. After paying a visit to his late father's grave, he became convinced that something had made the journey back with him. In the beginning, the signs were easy to dismiss. Faint sounds in the middle of the night, small objects not quite where he'd left them. Then, one afternoon, he jolted awake from a nap after hearing a sharp metallic crash from the other room. He grabbed his phone and hit record, and here's what the camera captured.
Bueno, estoy grabando este video porque estoy tratando de dormir, pero acabo de escuchar un golpe duro por allá en la sala, entonces decidí grabar porque hace días que se viene presentando cosas extrañas en el apartamento. Son las 4 y cuarto, 4:13 minutos de la tarde, entonces me parece muy extraño que hasta ahora están sucediendo como cosas raras. Entonces, comedor. Miren, es en el comedor. Tengo las ventanas cerradas, miren. Esto viene sucediendo hace como una semana ya. Pues la verdad se me hace muy extraño.
His kitchen utensils were swaying on their own, completely unprompted. No windows were open, there was no draft, just an eerie quiet. Within a few days, things took a darker turn. While filming himself in prayer, he directly commanded whatever was sharing his space to get out.
En el nombre de Jesús te ordeno que te vayas. En el nombre de Jesús ordeno que te vayas. No tienes derecho de estar aquí. Ordeno que te vas. Ordeno que te vas en el nombre de Jesús.
The apartment went completely still. Then, without warning, a piano key behind him depressed on its own. The note rang out sharply across the room. He froze in place before bolting out in a panic, but the disturbances were far from over. Several nights later, at around 3 in the morning, he and his girlfriend were both jolted awake by a commotion coming from the kitchen. See for yourself what they walked into?
Bueno, voy a grabar este video porque nuevamente se están escuchando en el apartamento ruidos. Son las 3 de la mañana con 16 minutos y...
Escucha.
Sí, amor, sí se escucha. ¿Es en la sala?
Sí. Escucha.
Esta vez no estoy solo, esta vez estoy con mi novia que por fin decidió venir a acompañarme, pues estaba asustada debido a todas estas cosas que están pasando. ¿Dónde es eso, amor?
La cocina.
¿Qué fue eso?
¿Se cayó?
Yo voy a mirar. ¿Qué es aquí, amor? ¿Qué es aquí?
No.
Señor bendito. Amor, quédese acá, yo voy solo, amor.
Yo.
Prenda la luz. Se ve todo tranquilo por acá. En el nombre de Jesús, manifiéstate. Parece que es en la cocina. En el nombre de Jesús, manifiéstate. Vaya para el cuarto, amor.
No.
¿Qué fue eso? ¿Estás viendo, amor? ¿Estás viendo? No, es en la cocina, amor. Cuidado con la cocina. Manifiéstate en el nombre de Jesús. Te ordeno que te manifiestes. ¿Qué fue lo que sonó así ahorita, no?
Una cosita.
Mierda. Mira, no, mira. Puede ser mentira esa, ¿no? Es un vaso. Es un vaso. Mira, todos los cajones están abiertos.
Drawers had been thrown open violently and items were strewn all over the floor. There was no sign that anyone had broken in. Making it worse, his girlfriend almost immediately began feeling physically ill, but the most harrowing moment was still to come. Late one night, heavy thundering footsteps came barreling toward him out of the darkness. This is the moment everything changed. Before he had any chance to react, something invisible hit him with force. Nobody was there, and yet something absolutely was. He hasn't stopped praying since because whatever came home with him that day at the cemetery still won't let him rest. On April 23rd, 2014, an anonymous user uploaded this unsettling footage to Reddit. It shows a young boy spending time with his pet rabbit while his older brother films the scene, neither of them having any idea that something deeply strange is about to appear, just moments later. As the child sits there with his rabbit, an eerie figure suddenly darts across the frame. It appears human, yet only the legs are visible, racing from one end of the screen to the other. Honestly, even now, I genuinely cannot wrap my head around how something like this is possible. How does a humanoid figure move like that with no visible upper body? No one on the internet has ever offered a satisfying explanation for this footage, and no matter how many times you watch it back, it just doesn't add up. Either there's some editing involved or something truly unexplained was caught on camera. But the clip feels so completely off the cuff with no buildup or apparent agenda behind it, which makes deliberate manipulation seem pretty unlikely. So the question still stands. Was some kind of paranormal entity actually filmed here? Does anyone have an answer? Drop it in the comments. Kids are naturally innocent and open-hearted, and most of the time they have no real grasp of just how frightening or inexplicable the things they witness actually are. As a child, a man named Willow frequently encountered strange and unsettling experiences, things he could only categorize as paranormal. As the years passed, these incidents seemed to taper off and eventually disappeared entirely. That all changed, however, the moment he moved into a new apartment. One night, he had a nightmare so disturbing that ever since, his cat has refused to go anywhere near the downstairs area.
Right, I just filmed my last video and she just came downstairs making a weird noise. Like, you okay? bit worried about her at this point. She's booked in for the vets tomorrow, so hopefully she's alright, but my last cat, you alright? Fucking hell. I'm really worried about her. Come here. Yeah, my last cat, who died, he made this really loud, weird meow, and then he just went limp and died. Just out of nowhere. He was fit and healthy. That was Corey's son, Moses, he was called. He was a lovely cat. He's in one of my older videos, playing with the Jar Jar Binks teddy. Yeah, that happened, so hopefully she'll be alright. That was really weird. Well, I didn't catch it on camera. She just came downstairs. I didn't even know she was here. I was just peeling the reduced stickers off of these Mr. Kiplings so I could give them to a friend, and he'd think that I'd pay for them full price. And basically, yeah, I was just doing that, and she just like did this really weird meow, and it wasn't as scary as when Moses did that, because when he did that meow I knew something was wrong. I went running to him and he was just, well, he died within like 5 minutes. It was horrible, but yeah, I hope nothing like that happens to her. You alright, Corey? You wanna come back down? Well, she came downstairs, so that's progress. But it's weird.
This terrified animal is visibly on edge. Is there something lurking below? The light seems to agitate it further rather than provide any comfort, and an eerie voice can be detected in the audio. Right at the end of the footage, a bone-chilling whisper cuts through, saying, "Get out."
Weird, it's like she was trying to tell me something. But it's weird, it's like she was trying to tell me something. But
it's possible the voice belonged to Willow himself, since he was speaking at the very moment it appeared in the recording. And if you think the cat's behavior is strange, that's just the beginning. Willow has heard loud banging throughout the apartment, witnessed doors swinging open and shut on their own, and even felt something climb into bed beside him in the dead of night. Eventually, pushed past his breaking point, he headed downstairs and managed to capture this. The following morning, a door downstairs began moving on its own, pulling tightly shut as though invisible hands were guiding it, as if someone unseen were still wandering the space long after everyone had gone. But confirming the door was opening by itself turned out to be easier than expected.
Just want to show it happening again. So, if there's anything in this room, can you... I didn't even have to finish. I don't really need to prove that there's nothing down there. You'd hear the door go anyway. Let's try again. Right, if there's anything in this room with me, well, yeah, if there's anything or anyone in this room right now, open the door again.
The disturbing activity kept returning, always gravitating toward that same door. What came next only added to the dread, delivering even more unsettling evidence that something beyond explanation had taken up residence in the apartment. At around 3 a.m., Kari was startled by something moving downstairs. Seconds later, a door unlatched and was thrown wide open. with nobody standing on the other side. Whatever is going on in that apartment, Willow is struggling to make sense of it, though he's become increasingly convinced that the dark presence that shadowed him in childhood has found him once again. Just an ordinary evening at home, until everything changed in an instant. This clip was uploaded to TikTok not long ago and spread across the internet almost immediately. A family is gathered together, relaxed and chatting, simply enjoying each other's company. Then, out of nowhere, something occurs that shakes them to their core and leaves them deeply disturbed. Judge for yourself what unfolds.
Alright, so Dad, if you remember the stupid rap.
I could do it. I think it was like 88, 89, maybe, I don't think it was 90, maybe 87, 88, 89. They had this record that was a square. It was from McDonald's, but they put it in the Columbus Dispatch. But anyway, it's like a piece of paper, but you put it on like a 33, and it had like the Big Mac song on it. And if you could recite it and go into the store, like the restaurant, and recite it, they give you free food or something. I still know the whole song.
This has got to be the nerdiest I've ever heard in my entire life. Go.
Are you posting this on like...
I'm gonna post it.
Well, just a disclaimer, I'm fat and I don't give a shit.
Oh god.
Check this out. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Big Mac McDLT, quarter pounder with some cheese, filet of fish, a hamburger, a cheeseburger, a Happy Meal, McNuggets, tasty golden French fries.
Did you see that? Are you kidding me right now?
The husband, his wife, and their daughter were mid-conversation when that cup suddenly launched itself across the room in a way that sent chills through everyone present.
This is Mandy, this is her channel, I'm Brent. This is a follow-up to the, I guess, McDonald's song Solo Cup, Flying Cup incident. We were having a family night, and I decided to recite the 1989 or 8 McDonald's menu song. I was in the middle of trying to do the song and just have fun with it, and I heard something. I guess you'll see me in the video. If you pay attention, I looked down at the table and I stopped singing. And why I did that is because I heard something. I didn't see a cup move or anything like that, but if you go back and look at the video, you can see the cup move a couple times. But I heard it audibly on the table. I thought it was something like a mouse, but we don't have mice or pets. Basically, a little bit later, the thing moves again. I react, and then it flies off the table, and I about pissed my pants because I've never, ever experienced anything like that. So that really scared me. I'm skeptical about this stuff, but when cups are flying around, there's something going on. So this is where I was sitting on the floor. This is the table. The solo cup would have been about right here. My daughter was sitting kind of in the middle of that couch, and my wife was sitting on that end over there. And this is the scene. This is our little living room. No go.
The whole family was left rattled with absolutely no explanation for what they witnessed. On top of that, this wasn't a channel known for paranormal content. They'd never posted anything like it before, and nothing remotely similar had ever happened to them. So what's your take on this one? In August 2026, a Reddit user by the name of Nagaida shared a deeply unsettling recording he had managed to rescue from an obscure Facebook page. Before he could trace it back to whoever originally posted it, the source account vanished from the internet without a trace. Fortunately, Nagaida had already captured a screen recording of the clip. The footage shows someone filming a house on the opposite side of the street in the middle of the night. Almost every window is dark and shows no signs of life. But as the camera pans toward a room on the ground floor, something deeply unsettling becomes visible lurking in the shadows. Behind the lower window pane, a dark, rounded shape swings aggressively from side to side in what can only be described as a frantic, erratic motion. At certain moments, the silhouette takes on the appearance of a head and shoulders rocking back and forth, yet no facial features, limbs, or any recognizable human detail ever come into view. The movement cycles in a strange, unrelenting loop, as though whatever this thing is has been locked into a perpetual, trance-like state. Skeptics have pointed to explanations like a rotating fan, someone using exercise equipment, or a rocking chair throwing a shadow across a faint light source. On top of that, the jerky camera movement has led some to believe the footage may have been artificially accelerated before the account disappeared. With neither the original recorder nor the location ever confirmed, this clip continues to leave people deeply unsettled. Was this nothing more than a neighbor burning off some late-night energy? Or something far stranger, a shadowy presence sealed behind the glass? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Hearn is a guy based in Germany, and much like some of the other people we've covered, he never planned on becoming a paranormal content creator. He started his channel with a single purpose: to document the strange things unfolding inside his own apartment. Over time, he's accumulated quite a bit of footage, cups shifting on their own, shadowy figures lurking at doorframes, and his cat acting in ways that are completely out of character for it. So he set up cameras throughout the place. On this particular night, Hearn wasn't even there. The only things keeping watch inside that apartment were his cameras, or at least, that's what he assumed. Keep your eyes on the bottom left of the screen first, because the cat is already on high alert before a single thing occurs. It's locked onto something, completely still, holding that gaze. Then the door it's been staring at begins to swing shut. Not in a sudden dramatic way, it just drifts closed, slow and deliberate, with no one anywhere near it. The apartment is completely unoccupied, and yet the cat follows that door the whole way, which is the detail that really gets to us, because the movement didn't trigger its attention. It was already watching before the door ever budged. Then an object on the coffee table slides across the surface, what looks to us like a coaster, traveling far enough to send the TV remote tumbling off the edge and onto the floor. And what the cat does after that is the moment we can't stop coming back to, because it doesn't bolt and it doesn't cower. It simply walks over to the remote and sniffs around it, almost like it's assessing the situation. That's a creature that has clearly witnessed this kind of thing before and no longer feels threatened by it. And that thought opens up a question we're not entirely comfortable sitting with, because if the cat has gotten used to whatever is sharing that flat with it, just how long has that thing been there? The footage you're about to see comes from the channel displayed on your screen right now. It belongs to a woman who typically posts Minecraft gameplay and videos of herself singing outdoors in nature. She lives close to the Appalachian Mountains, and on one particular outing where she headed outside to film herself singing, this is what unfolded.
Just had a whole chill go down my spine like I'm being watched. I feel really disoriented right now. I don't know which way I came in. I feel like someone's stalking me. Like I keep hearing people talking, but no one's here. Just me. I feel like you guys aren't my only audience. What the f- I'm starting to get really freaked out. It just went completely silent. I keep moving because I'm like scared to stay in one spot.
Out in the wilderness, when all ambient sound suddenly drops to dead silence, that's almost always a warning that something is off, and that feeling is especially strong deep in the Appalachian Mountains. At various points throughout the clip, you can make out the sounds of footsteps, whistling, and what seems to be whispering, all while she appears to be completely alone out there. Considering the dark history and unsettling legends attached to these mountains, what do you believe she actually came across that day? Drop your theories down in the comments below. A young American woman says she has been encountering ghosts throughout her entire life, and one in particular keeps showing up more than any other, a ghostly pale woman dressed in a long dark gown. Several years back, she decided to take a DNA ancestry test, and what came back genuinely shocked her. The results suggested she may be a very distant relative of the Boleyn family, as in Anne Boleyn, the notorious second wife of King Henry VIII, who was put to death on his command. Once she discovered this, a question began consuming her thoughts. Could the spirit she keeps encountering actually be Anne Boleyn? For years, every attempt to catch the ghost on camera had come up empty, until one evening when she found herself alone at home. Her husband had just headed out for his night shift, leaving her lying in bed. She rolled over and noticed he'd gone and left a light on again, something she was constantly reminding him not to do. She grabbed her phone, took a quick photo, and fired it off to him as a lighthearted nudge. His reply, however, stopped her cold. He told her to look more carefully at the image. She zoomed in, and what she found made her breath catch in her throat.
Stop.
There, half swallowed by the shadows, appears to be a pale figure draped in a dark dress, barely detectable in the original shot, only revealing itself clearly once the brightness is turned up. After studying the image, the woman is convinced she knows exactly whose face that belongs to, the spirit of her long-lost ancestor, Anne Boleyn. She now believes she may have finally captured proof that Anne's ghost has been with her since she was a child, and rather than feeling afraid, she's completely captivated. She's desperate to understand why Anne's spirit seems drawn to her, and what the true nature of their connection really is. November 2025, a channel called Backcountry Discoveries uploaded footage recorded during a hunting trip in the mountains of Alberta. The two men featured, Frank and Don, are indigenous hunters, and the video picks up toward the end of the day after the hunt has already wrapped up. Frank is riding his ATV back through the bush to where Don is waiting, so the two of them can leave together before they lose the light. Out in terrain like this, that machine isn't a luxury. It's the line between a quick ride out and hours of trudging across ground that only gets more punishing as the darkness deepens. So whatever they had planned for the evening collapses right there. The ATV was supposed to be how they linked up and got out. Now Frank is on foot, deep in the wilderness, and he still has to find Dawn. He pushes into the trees and starts calling out. Nothing comes back.
Dawn? Dawn?
As he moves, he begins to notice something else out there, off to his side, traveling in the same direction he is. At first, that doesn't register as alarming. These are woods. Animals move through them, and a man walking alone after dark expects to hear things. But the longer he pays attention, the more unsettling the sound becomes. Because it isn't wandering off, it's matching him. When he eases up, it seems to ease up. When he goes still, it goes still. Then it crosses into territory he simply cannot account for. That's the point where this stops being a nighttime walk back to his buddy and becomes something he is focused entirely on getting through. He stops thinking about daylight, he doesn't pause to investigate or pull out a camera. he moves. There is a name used in his community for the creature said to roam these mountains after dark. They call it the Walks Tall Forest Beast, and that's the framework Frank uses when he tries to make sense of what he experienced. It isn't evidence of anything definitive. The footage never gives you a clear look at whatever was out there. The reason the clip even has a conclusion is that it does conclude. Frank makes it to the truck. Whatever had been keeping pace with him doesn't follow him there. What the recording preserves is the sound, the darkness, and one man arriving at the only decision that still made sense. A woman named Delaney is known for posting videos about her pet pug, but one particular upload was far more disturbing than anything she'd shared before. She had a baby monitor installed in her child's room, and late one night she noticed her child was making unusual noises in their sleep. She pulled up the monitor to check on them, and what she saw on that screen stopped her cold. A shadowy figure appears to be lurking against the darkened wall, silently watching the child as they sleep. Then, without any warning, it slowly reaches its arm out toward the bed, coming dangerously close to the sleeping child, who remains completely unaware, lost in a deep slumber. Just as suddenly as it reached out, the figure pulls its arm back and disappears into the darkness. Delaney was absolutely terrified and feared for her child's well-being, though thankfully, whatever it was has not shown up on the monitor since. The next clip was filmed by a mother who had been recording her young son. What begins as a sweet, ordinary moment quickly takes a turn towards something far more unsettling. This is the mother's original footage. See for yourself what she captured. At first, she didn't notice anything out of the ordinary, but once she shared the video online and commenters started urging her to take a closer look, she grew genuinely alarmed. And honestly, it's hard to blame her. There appears to be some kind of figure lurking just behind her child's playpen. Nobody has been able to identify who or what it might be, and the comment section seems to be in agreement that there's something profoundly disturbing about the whole thing. As tends to happen with videos like this, the details surrounding the story are frustratingly scarce. And somehow that absence of information only deepens the mystery. So just what exactly was caught on camera that day? Drop your thoughts below, I'd love to hear what you think. On September 21st, 2022, a woman was strolling through the rear of her property, simply taking in the stillness and solitude of her surroundings. She lived in a deeply remote location, hemmed in by thick forest and miles from the nearest neighbor. These solo walks were nothing out of the ordinary for her, but on this particular occasion, something stopped her in her tracks. An odd motion among the trees caught her eye, and almost immediately she was overcome by the feeling that something or someone was watching her. She grabbed her phone and hit record.
I seen somebody run through these woods just now. I live in a country. Not too many people know about this back here, but I'm telling you, I could have sworn I saw somebody. Oh my goodness. Hey, Zach! I could have sworn. See, Zach, there is a man over there. What? I'm not even playing. You need to go check it out. There is somebody over there.
I'll go check.
Hiding by our tree. Right now, I'm not even. Be careful. I just seen him over there by that tree, Zach. Zach, be careful. I'm not even playing.
As she pans the camera around, searching for the source of the sounds and movement, a shadowy figure becomes visible peering out from behind one of the trees. The encounter lasts only a matter of seconds, but it leaves a deeply uneasy feeling behind. Visibly rattled, she makes the decision to keep her distance, and it's right at that point that the footage cuts out, leaving the question of what she actually came face to face with completely unanswered. But that wasn't the end of it. Later the same night, strange noises began drifting in from the back of the property once more, and the family headed out together to take a look. What they recorded this time was somehow even more unsettling.
This is day 2, and I'm telling you, there is something in those. Oh my goodness, Zach! There is something out there, Zach. There is. I'm telling you, you need to go check it out. I don't know what it is. There's something out here. I'm not even playing. Please go and check it out. I'm about to freak. Please. Like, oh my gosh, y'all. Like, there's something out here. I'm not even going no closer because I'm so scared. Zach, I'm telling you, there is somebody or something out here. Zach, I'm not even kidding. Go!
The same mysterious figure appears again between the trees. This time, it seems to become aware of them and bolts into the undergrowth. When the man goes over to check the spot, there's nothing there whatsoever. No footprints, no sounds, no trace of anyone having been present. The whole experience left the family shaken to their core, and they've since come to believe that whatever they encountered was something far beyond an ordinary intruder, particularly given that the region they call home has long been tied to old local legends about strange unidentified creatures said to roam those very woods. A man named Alessandro posted footage from his home security system after something totally unexpected occurred involving his mother-in-law while the whole family was seated at the table having a casual conversation. At first glance, everything looks completely ordinary. The group is together in the kitchen chatting away until, out of nowhere, something happens to the woman that brings the whole moment to a halt. With absolutely no warning, Alessandro's mother-in-law's head is suddenly snapped back, and startled, she immediately spins around trying to work out who could have grabbed her hair, while the rest of the family scrambles to make sense of what they just witnessed. She demands to know who did it, but everyone insists it wasn't them. And when they go back through the footage, the whole thing becomes even more difficult to rationalize, since nobody appears to be positioned close enough to her to have clearly caused that kind of reaction. Following the incident, the family started entertaining the idea that they might have recorded some sort of paranormal presence in their home. But just going off what you can see in the clip, what's your take? Could someone have pulled her hair without it being obvious on camera? Or is something genuinely unexplainable going on here? Late one night, surveillance cameras at an Idaho high school recorded something nobody could have anticipated. The footage starts off looking completely ordinary. A still, empty corridor, drinking fountain sitting undisturbed, lights blinking on and off for no apparent reason. Then, without warning, a dark, shadowy figure appears, completely motionless, right next to one of the fountains. As the lights keep flickering, the shape gradually rises, glides across the hallway, and vanishes into a nearby bathroom. Within seconds, the building's alarm system goes off, and law enforcement is dispatched to the scene. The clip was publicly released by Pocatello High School in late December, and it immediately split opinion. Some people chalked it up to a lighting glitch or a camera malfunction, while others declared it among the most compelling paranormal footage ever shared with the public. Two of those believers were investigators John and Lisa Bryan, who had devoted over 7 years to researching reported hauntings. They described the recording as the most persuasive security footage they had ever reviewed. And their conviction wasn't just about the figure. They pointed out that school security systems run continuously across several cameras simultaneously, which makes tampering with the footage far more challenging than doctoring a standard clip. To them, the combination of the flickering lights and the shadow's movement told a coherent, unnervingly believable story. Things got even stranger when former principal Don Cotton opened up about his 14 years at the school. During late nights in the building, he frequently heard loud banging sounds coming from beneath the floor, as if something below was pounding upward. He'd joke around about it, stomping his foot back and telling whatever was down there to leave him alone so he could finish his work. Sometimes the sounds would go quiet, other times they'd start right back up a few minutes later. Former staff members also recalled hearing piano music drifting out of the auditorium even though it was locked. Yet every time someone went to check, the music had stopped by the time the doors swung open. One teacher remembered her kids refusing to play basketball after a man they claimed was sitting up in the gymnasium rafters told them to keep it down. None of these accounts, of course, definitively explained what the security camera captured that night. A homeowner discovered something unsettling on his security footage only after he got back from work. While he was away, the only living things in the house were his pets, a dog and a cat. But the moment he walked through the door, he could tell something was off. Both animals were acting strangely, visibly spooked by something he couldn't explain. At one point in the recording, a shape resembling a woman can be seen darting through the house at an unnatural speed, almost as though it were partially see-through. It's there for only a split second, which makes getting a clear look at it nearly impossible. The homeowner came to believe that whatever this figure was, it's likely what left his pets in such a disturbed state. Whether the camera actually recorded a genuine apparition, or whether it's simply a trick of motion blur and low-quality night vision footage, is still up for debate. So, what's your take on it? A lone camper's routine property visit spirals into a nightmare when bone-chilling screams tear through the Pennsylvania wilderness. Screams so alarming that he dials 911 and state troopers show up with weapons at the ready. The Northwest Wind is a YouTube channel focused on stealth camping and backcountry adventures throughout Pennsylvania. He loaded up his truck and headed out to a remote stretch of land. The evening started out calm enough. He made dinner, took in the sunset over the Allegheny River, and set up his truck bed for the night. As night closed in, he was sitting inside his truck with the heat running, chatting with his fiancée Jessica. Everything felt still and ordinary. Then it happened.
Really up noise coming from the woods right now. It sounds like a woman screaming. I was sitting in my front seat with the heated seat on, warming up. It's been dark for a long time now, and it sounds like a woman screaming bloody murder.
His first instinct was to dismiss it. He was sealed inside his truck, windows shut, heater going. Yet the sound punched right through all of it. A woman's voice screaming in what could only be described as severe distress.
Somebody was screaming bloody murder. It sounded like a human. It sounded like a woman was being tortured or beaten. I was on the phone with Jessica and I kept hearing it, and I opened my door and it got more severe, like it was more.
The screaming arrived in intervals. Every 10 to 15 seconds, another shriek tore through the night. This wasn't wildlife or some bird call. It was unmistakably human. A grown woman screaming as though her life was ending. He told Jessica he'd have to call her back, grabbed his camera, and pushed open the door. The instant he spoke out loud, the screaming cut off entirely. Dead silence.
Something's right over there. Hello?
He called out into the dark. Nothing answered. The hair on the back of his neck rose, and he couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. He made the decision to get out immediately.
We're getting out of here. I'm getting out of here. Don't like the feeling that I have. I don't like that feeling at all, so we're gonna...
He began reversing, but the narrow single-lane gravel road made a fast exit impossible. Doors locked, he felt completely exposed.
A woman... It was a woman, blood-curdling screams that were getting more and more faint for about a 10-minute period.
He drove partway back toward the main road, pulled over, and rolled his windows down to listen. He sat there for several minutes, ears straining against the quiet. The forest offered nothing back. The screaming never returned. Even so, the silence brought him no comfort whatsoever. Despite not hearing it again, he was absolutely certain about what had reached his ears.
In my mind, that was 100% a woman scream.
He also recounts, at first he tried to rationalize it. Maybe birds, maybe something drifting up from the river. But the longer it had gone on, the harder it was to explain away.
I thought I was hearing things, and I thought maybe it's some geese or birds or something. The river's right.
Eventually, he made up his mind and picked up the phone.
The police to report that because I have a gut feeling something. I don't have the exact address. I was out camping and I heard, I believe it was a woman screaming in great distress.
The dispatcher didn't brush him off. 2 Pennsylvania State Police officers were dispatched to the scene. While he waited, a tornado siren started wailing somewhere in the distance. When the troopers arrived, they followed him back down the narrow road into the pitch black. They instructed him to stay put while they swept the area. Flashlight beams cut through the trees as they approached an abandoned cabin on the neighboring property.
All right, they've got their things drawn in there. Checking.
The officers moved around the structure with purpose, treating the situation as a genuine threat. They checked every door and window, then pushed further into the woods toward a second structure. In the end, they turned up nothing definitive. No woman, no evidence of anything. But watching the footage, one thing is impossible to argue with. His fear was absolutely real. The trembling in his hands as he held the camera, the raw panic in his voice during that 911 call, none of that was the behavior of someone manufacturing drama for an audience. What was captured on that recording was pure, unfiltered terror in the moment it happened. Nuke is a well-known Indonesian content creator who has built his reputation around solo overnight stays in locations rumored to be haunted. At some point, word reaches him about a forest close to where he lives, shrouded in deeply unsettling local folklore. Every account tells the same tale. The sighting of a woman draped in a flowing white dress, a figure the people of Indonesia know as the kuntilanak. Legend describes her as the restless spirit of a mother who perished during childbirth, driven back to the world of the living by a thirst for revenge over her lost child. Refusing to take anyone's word for it, Nuke decides to spend an entire night in that forest, positioning multiple cameras throughout the area to capture whatever might unfold. For a stretch of time, the night remains completely uneventful, until he records this. His motorcycle, left parked just a short distance away, suddenly switches on without anyone near it. The engine fires up, the horn sounds off, and there is nobody in sight. Paralyzed by dread, Man eventually musters the nerve to walk over and shut the engine down. He scans his surroundings. Total silence, not another person anywhere. So what exactly triggered that bike? Later in the same night, while he is sitting inside his tent, an odd sound catches his attention. He frantically pulls up his camera feed on his phone, and what appears on the screen sends a cold wave of terror through him. The shadowy outline of a woman in a white gown is perched on his motorcycle before vanishing into thin air as though she had never existed. A large number of viewers are convinced he genuinely documented an encounter with the kuntilanak, the vengeful apparition at the heart of that local legend. So what do you think? Did Nuke actually capture something from beyond? The following video was recorded inside a hotel, where working the night shift comes with a particular kind of silence. Long corridors, empty rooms, and strange sounds that usually have a perfectly reasonable explanation. But on this particular night, a guest had asked to change rooms, claiming that the temperature inside had become unusually cold enough that they no longer felt comfortable staying there. The night manager decided to check the room personally, partly because something similar had apparently happened before. The first time, they convinced themselves it was probably nothing, but after the guest complained about the same room, they decided to bring a camera along this time. Watch. The nightstand drawer slides open on its own, slow, smooth, no one near it, and that soft gasp you hear at the end says everything. A guest felt cold enough to leave, then the drawer moves. Some believe cold spots and moving objects point to the same thing, a presence making itself known, unable to leave the room any other way. You decide what's staying in that hotel. This next video comes from a man documenting a series of ongoing paranormal experiences inside what he refers to as his haunted house. And across these 3 clips, the activity ranges from something standing outside in the dark to something moving through the house itself, all without any clear explanation. It starts one night when his dog suddenly begins barking at something on the other side of the room, insistently and without letting up, the kind of frantic alarm that makes you stop whatever you're doing and pay attention. He grabs his camera and moves toward the front of the house to see what set the dog off. Watch.
My dog just started barking for no fucking reason. Let's see. Holy shit, there's somebody out there.
Through the window slats, a tall, dark humanoid silhouette is visible just outside, completely still, just standing there. And by the time he gets the door open and steps out to look, the yard is empty. The flamingos, the driveway, the street beyond, nothing. Whatever it was didn't walk away fast enough to be a person moving at a normal pace, and that detail alone is hard to dismiss. Some viewers called it a shadow person, a term used broadly in paranormal communities to describe dark, featureless humanoid figures that appear and vanish without explanation, often described in folklore across multiple cultures as harbingers or presences tied to liminal spaces, doorways, hallways, the boundary between inside and outside. Others think it could simply be a person, but that doesn't explain where they went in the seconds it took him to open the door. What makes this case harder to set aside, though, is what he shares in a follow-up clip recorded during the day, a piece of personal history that, for a lot of viewers, reframes everything. Watch.
Hey everyone, things have been pretty quiet for a few days now, so I wanted to address some of the comments that I've seen and people wondering about me having one arm. Yeah, I have one arm. It's actually because I'm a cancer survivor, and it was in my arm, so they had to amputate it. And between the radiation and chemo and surgeries, they kind of bring you to the brink of death without actually killing you. I feel like that's where I had my first paranormal experience. During my chemo, I went on a tour of the Queen Mary, and I was in a big group, and we went past this long vacant hallway that was like completely gutted in the interior of the ship, and suddenly I hear boom, 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 and then I turned to the people that were with me, and I was like, did you hear that? And they're like, no, nobody else in the group heard it, just me. And I'm wondering how much that has to do with what's going on now. I'm not sure.
He reveals he's a cancer survivor, that the disease took his arm, and that the treatment brought him, in his own words, to the brink of death. He traces his first paranormal experience back to that period, a tour of the Queen Mary, one of the most documented haunted locations in the country, where during his illness he was the only person in a large group to hear 3 loud banging sounds coming from a completely empty hallway. The Queen Mary has accumulated decades of reported activity since it was converted from a luxury liner, and many who visited believe it has a way of making contact with people who are already close to something. Grief, illness, the kind of vulnerability that some think opens a person up to things they wouldn't otherwise notice. He doesn't frame it as a curse or a gift. He says he's not sure how much that experience connects to what's happening to him now. That uncertainty is what makes it stick. Then the house itself seems to answer the question. Watch. Caught on the door camera in his hallway at night, the latch audibly clicks, and the door swings open several inches on its own. No one near it, no draft you can point to, and he comes in from another room asking if someone opened it, then closes it himself and walks back out. The audio of that latch releasing just before the door moves is what a lot of viewers keep coming back to. A draft doesn't disengage a latch. Between the figure outside, the history he carries, and now a door opening on its own inside the house, the pattern of what's happening here is becoming harder to write off. And I'd love to hear your thoughts on what you think is behind it, and like and subscribe if you're enjoying watching this video. What gets me is that none of these clips feel like isolated incidents. They feel like the same presence, getting closer. Now in this next clip, a young girl is standing in what looks like a bathroom when something in the reflection of the door behind her catches everyone's attention. The setting is calm and well lit. White tiled walls, a wooden door with vertical glass panels, nothing obviously threatening. But the girl's expression tells a different story. Her eyes are wide, her mouth open, and she cries out to her father in Portuguese, saying she's scared again. That word again is the part that stays with you. Watch. In the uppermost glass panel of the door, a pale, hollow-eyed face is visible in the reflection, seemingly staring directly toward the child. The camera quickly zooms in, and a slow-motion replay holds on it. Some viewers think it's a case of pareidolia, light and distortion conspiring to form a face-like shape in the glass. Others aren't so sure, especially given the girl's raw, immediate reaction. She didn't look for it. She already knew something was there. Now, in this next clip, a security camera in what appears to be a gift shop or museum exhibit captures something that's difficult to explain away. The room is completely still. Nighttime, no staff, no movement anywhere in the frame. In the center of the shot, a multi-tiered display stand holds merchandise, and right at the top, a sign that reads, "The Cursed Dybbuk Box." For several seconds, nothing happens. Watch. Without warning, the entire top section of the stand is thrown violently forward, crashing to the floor and scattering small items across the room. No one enters the frame. Nothing visible causes it. In Jewish folklore, a dybbuk is a malicious spirit, specifically the soul of a dead person that clings to and possesses the living, with accounts of its existence dating back to 16th century writings. Some viewers think whatever energy surrounds that box made itself known the moment the store went quiet. Others aren't so sure. But if you watch the way that sign flies forward with that much force, it's hard to find a simpler explanation. So, what do you think caused it? This next clip was recorded inside a woman's kitchen during the daytime, and what makes it so hard to dismiss is just how fast everything escalates. She'd been going about her morning, moving around the kitchen, doing what looks like a completely ordinary routine. Nothing in the room suggested anything was off. Then, in the span of about a second, everything changed. Watch.
Nothing here.
just bags. Washing. Nothing behind the door. What the f***? What the f*** is going on? Just leave me alone! What the f***?
A red ketchup bottle launches itself off the counter with a loud bang, and if you watch the doorway behind her in that same moment, a solid black shadow figure peeks its head and shoulder around the frame, visible for less than a second before it pulls back. She grabs a small camera and goes to investigate, checking the utility hallway, a bathroom, moving things around. Nothing. But when she steps back toward the kitchen, the room looks like something tore through it. Cabinet doors hanging open, the refrigerator ajar, the oven door wide open. All of that happened in the second she was looking in the other direction. She slams every door shut one by one and shouts, "Just leave me alone," which tells you everything about where her head was at. The bottle could be explained away, a poorly balanced object on an uneven surface maybe. But that shadow figure is something else entirely. Shadow people, as they're often called in paranormal research, are described as dark humanoid forms with no discernible features, typically appearing only briefly before vanishing, and accounts of them stretch across cultures and centuries, often tied to feelings of being watched or a sense of hostile presence. What makes this clip harder to wave off than most is the combination of events: a physical object moving, a visible figure appearing, and then a second wave of disturbance happening while she was completely out of the room. That's 3 separate events inside of a minute. Some viewers think the bottle was the beginning of a poltergeist-style escalation, activity that starts small and builds in intensity, almost like something testing the space. Others believe the shadow figure itself is the source, and that retreating into the other rooms may have triggered whatever came next. Skeptics will argue an accomplice off camera could explain the kitchen chaos, though the layout of the space and how quickly it happened makes that genuinely difficult to account for. What's harder to explain with that logic is the figure itself. Solid, well-defined, and clearly shaped like a shoulder and head leaning around a frame. She wasn't looking at it when it appeared. She had no idea it was there. So what exactly was standing in that doorway, and why did things get worse the moment she went looking for it? Now in this next clip, a man who identifies himself online as Amoroso Max is filming alone at night in what appears to be a multi-level home, and from the very first second you can tell he doesn't want to be where he is. He's standing beneath a staircase, speaking in Spanish, already on edge before anything has happened. He admits he doesn't want to go up. Whatever has been happening in this place has clearly gotten to him, enough that even standing at the bottom of the stairs feels like too much. Then it gets worse. Watch.
No quiero subir, la verdad. No digas. No manches. No. No mames. Dios mío bendito. Dios bendito. Oh, la máquina. No.
A single, loud bang erupts from somewhere off camera, and his reaction is immediate. Pure terror. He bolts up the concrete stairs, through the hallway, straight into a bedroom, locks the door behind him, and starts sweeping the room with the camera, breathing hard, repeating prayers under his breath. Dios mío, bendito. And just when it seems like he's finally in a safe space, the camera dips toward the floor at the foot of one of the beds, and there's a doll. Pale face, dark hollow eyes, dark hair lying on the floor like it had been placed there. His gasp says everything. Now, some viewers think the loud bang and the doll were set up to build a scare moment, and the fact that the camera just happens to find the doll at the end does raise that question, but others point to the way he speaks throughout, the prayers, the no 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 under his breath. Those don't sound like performance. They sound like someone genuinely unraveling. Whether the bang came from something in the walls, someone in the house, or something that shouldn't be there at all, nobody's been able to explain it. And that doll on the floor, you decide what it was doing there. The following clip was captured inside the old Gila County Jail in Globe, Arizona, widely considered one of the most haunted locations in the state. Since its closure in 1981, the jail has become a hotspot for paranormal investigations and has even appeared on shows like Ghost Adventures and Ghost Hunters. One of the jail's most disturbing stories centers around a former inmate whose life ended inside his cell in 1911 while he was awaiting trial for the drowning of 2 young girls. In the days leading up to his death, he claimed the spirits of those girls were visiting him, tormenting him inside his cell. To this day, visitors report sudden drops in temperature, an overwhelming sense of dread, and faint sobbing near his former cell in cell block B. Over the years, guests and investigators have also reported being touched, scratched, or pushed by unseen forces, along with disembodied voices, unexplained footsteps, and loud bangs echoing through the 2nd floor. On this particular night, a group of investigators set up a camera at the foot of one of the staircases. Watch closely.
I hear something in here now.
Whatever it is, you have to drive on this line.
Yep, oh, I guarantee we do.
So do you want to worry about it? You might need to walk through and see what's going on.
This voice is impressive on its own, but what makes it even more compelling is that one of our 2 investigators talking at the top of the stairs, discussing their worry about the rain, caught the same voice from one of their cameras. Take a listen.
You want to worry about it?
Hey.
You might need to walk through and see what's going on.
Here, Riley?
Yeah.
We let this video extend a bit longer to give you a comparison of the 3 voices heard in this clip, our 2 investigators' voices, and the 3rd disembodied voice. To add to the mystery surrounding these stairs, less than 2 hours later, another camera at the top of these stairs automatically shuts itself off. Our team hurried to figure out what happened to the camera, realizing that we need to fix this unknown issue downstairs at base camp. This is what happened. After going through over 3 hours of footage, listening through the heavy rain and natural echoes through the prison, this voice is only heard twice. What are your thoughts?
Some believe it may be connected to the inmate whose restless presence is said to linger near the upper floors, while others think it could be something even older tied to the jail itself. It's moments like this that remind people why the old Gila County Jail continues to be an enigma, one that refuses to give up its secrets. Now this next clip comes from a guy named Chris, who regularly explores abandoned buildings with long, often unsettling histories. In this particular video, he's inside one of those locations alone, documenting the space when something strange is caught on camera. Watch closely.
Did you hear that? That was loud.
At first, there's a loud bang that echoes through the building, sharp enough to make him freeze. Almost immediately after, you can see something shift in the frame, subtle but unmistakable. Chris later explains that in that exact moment, it felt like someone reached out and grabbed him by the shoulder. When this video surfaced, reactions were split. Viewers unfamiliar with Chris and his work were quick to dismiss it as post-production editing or a staged effect. But longtime followers pointed out that Chris doesn't usually sensationalize his footage, and that abandoned structures like this are often unpredictable, both structurally and otherwise. Whether it was something physical, something paranormal, or just a moment caught at the worst possible time, one thing is clear: whatever happened in that building left Chris visibly shaken. And for many who've explored places like this before, that reaction says more than the footage itself. In the following video, a man says he's been dealing with a persistent and unsettling feeling that someone is inside his house with him. And whenever that feeling hits, it's not subtle. His chest suddenly feels heavy, like the air around him has thickened, making it hard to breathe normally. He describes it as a pressure that comes out of nowhere, usually late at night when the house is quiet. One night, that same feeling returned. Instead of brushing it off, he picked up his phone, hoping to finally catch whoever or whatever was causing it. But what he ended up recording was something he didn't expect at all. Watch closely. After seeing this, he says he's now convinced that something is moving freely inside his home, aware of his presence, but careful about when it reveals itself. Some viewers believe this could explain the physical sensations he's been feeling, suggesting that intense fear or stress can manifest as chest pressure when someone senses danger. Paranormal investigators often approach situations like this in different ways. Some believe acknowledging the presence gives it strength, while others suggest setting firm boundaries, cleansing the space, or even temporarily leaving the home to break whatever attachment may exist. And then there are those who say that when your instincts keep warning you, when your body reacts before your mind does, it's not something to ignore. Because sometimes when your gut tells you you're not alone, it might already be too late to pretend otherwise. This next video is about Kyle, who has been living in this house for about a year and a half, and whatever is happening there has never stayed in one place. The activity seems to move freely through the home, starting in the crawl space, then shifting to the attic, later the garage, and now even the rooms where he sleeps. Kyle reports hearing children laughing in empty hallways, objects shifting when no one is near them, and sudden noises that don't repeat in the same location twice. Hoping to find a logical source, Kyle decides to check the attic himself, thinking maybe there's something hidden or overlooked that could explain everything. But what he finds only raises more questions. Watch.
Shit. Oh
my God. Shit. Damn it. I'm hearing voices up here again. Yo. There's like a little kid laughing. Surely you heard that. Oh man, it's getting funny at this point. What the heck? I think some of y'all are right. I think ever since I put that ornament that I found up here on the Christmas tree, things have been a little wild. Happy holidays, I guess. Okay, maybe it's time to get out of here. I thought I was going to come up here and look around, see if I could find anything else, but we might have to... Maybe I just need to get a friend to come with me or something. Yeah, we'll see about that.
At first, Kyle believes he's only hearing voices, but if you look closely, a figure appears to be standing completely still directly in front of him. Some viewers also point out faint orbs drifting through the frame, and combined with the voices, many believe the attic was already fully active before Kyle ever stepped inside. Whether this is a single entity moving through the house or something far more complex, one thing is clear: the activity in Kyle's home isn't slowing down. Now in this next video, a man shares footage that many viewers say proves that renovating a house doesn't erase whatever energy is already there. Here's a bit of background. The house was originally built in 1949 and has gone through several renovations over the years. At the time this video was recorded, it was still occupied by an elderly woman, and the man in the clip would regularly come by to carry out remodeling work. But according to him, every time he stepped into the house, something felt off. He describes sudden cold spots, the uneasy feeling of being watched, and no matter how long he stayed, he never felt fully alone. One day, while working in the basement, something happened right in front of him. Watch. Viewers were quick to point out that there's no obvious explanation for how it shifts the way it does. Some believe the age of the house plays a role, that decades of lived experiences, emotions, and unresolved events can leave something behind, especially in places like basements where energy is said to linger. Others think the activity could be tied to the former owner herself, or even the tension surrounding the home. Shortly after this was recorded, the elderly woman was moved into a nursing home and the house was put up for sale. According to the man, the family had already begun arguing over money and her will, creating even more unrest around the property. Whether it's residual energy from the past, something attached to the house itself, or just another unexplained moment caught on camera, this home seems to carry more than just its history, and whatever moved that chair may not be finished making its presence known. In this next clip, a family was settling in for the night, watching a horror movie called The Deliverance, a film inspired by the real-life 2011 Demon House case of LaToya Ammons in Gary, Indiana. Everything felt normal at first, just another scary movie night, until the atmosphere inside the house began to change. Right in the middle of the film, the power suddenly went out in the parlor. Almost immediately after, the family felt a heavy shift in the room, the unmistakable sensation that someone had just walked into the living room with them. Panicked, they went to their rooms, hoping whatever it was would stop there. But whatever entered the house that night wasn't finished. Watch.
Oh, hell no! Bro, stop! Bro, what the? Oh, hell no! You gotta go.
After this encounter, the family swore off horror movies completely. Many viewers believe films based on real events can stir up fear, emotion, and attention, things that some say act like an invitation. Others argue it's a coincidence, that the tension from the movie simply heightened their senses. But there are also those who warn that once something makes itself known, it doesn't always leave on its own. The real concern now is whether this was a one-time incident, or the beginning of something that plans to come back when the house goes quiet again. What do you think? Now, in this next video, a family's dog has been acting strangely, and what it reacts to has left viewers uneasy. Watch closely. The dog is clearly seeing something no one else can see, but two details immediately stand out. First, the family doesn't seem overly concerned. They brush it off, suggesting the dog is simply acting out or responding to a random noise. And second, when the dog becomes more agitated, they shush it, a moment that made many viewers uncomfortable. A lot of people believe animals sense changes in their environment long before humans do, especially when it comes to unfamiliar presences or sudden shifts in energy. What makes this even stranger is that only one dog reacts. So, what do you think? An overreactive pet? Or the only one in the house paying attention? Now, in this next clip, the popular Midwest ghost hunter Ian continues his solo exploration through the haunted buildings of Bonanzaville. Still inside the mansion, he enters one particular bedroom that many visitors say feels different from the rest. This is the room where people have reported seeing an imprint on the bed, as if someone is lying there even when the room is empty. It's also believed to be the very room where the mansion's owner, David, passed away. Watch closely.
Well, doesn't really look like it. David, did you die in this room? I heard you died of a brain hemorrhage, and I'm very, very sorry to hear that. Are you the one that leaves the imprint on the pillow? Could you do it right now? What the heck is that? What is that? Mom? Somebody downstairs? What the heck is that? It's like a jingling sound. What the heck is that? It's down there.
After leaving the room, Ian starts hearing unexplained sounds coming from downstairs. As he follows the sound, he captures something even more unsettling.
Wait a minute. Look at that. Dude, those things are freaking moving. Oh, hell no. Hell no. How is that even possible? Look at that. You're freaking moving like crazy. And that's our seance table. That's even more terrifying. Oh god. How is that even happening? There's no air in here or anything. Oh god. Look at that. They're still moving. Oh, what? Dude, this camera just died.
The crystals on the lamp begin swaying back and forth aggressively, far more than a draft or vibration could explain. What makes this moment even stranger is what happens next. As Ian approaches the table, both of his cameras suddenly die, despite showing full battery just moments earlier. Almost immediately, Ian begins to feel lightheaded, overwhelmed, and uneasy, sensations many investigators associate with intense paranormal encounters. Realizing something may not want him there anymore, Ian makes the decision to leave the mansion. Was this a warning, or something following him all along? You decide. For more haunting videos including Ian, subscribe to the channel now. The following clips were recorded by the same woman over what appears to be a string of increasingly unsettling days at her home. A place that, on the surface, looks completely ordinary, but where something seems to have made itself comfortable. It starts simply enough. She's outside in her backyard on an overcast autumn day, walking through the dry leaves, filming a dead tree that caught her eye, gnarled, full of dark holes, a little out of place among the others. She says she doesn't know what the metal bracket bolted to the trunk is for. She's curious, unbothered, almost cheerful. But as she crouches near the base of that tree, among the red leaves and the fallen branches, something catches her attention. Watch.
So I have a bunch of trees in my backyard, but there's this one that doesn't look like the other trees. So I'm gonna go check that one out because it has pretty red leaves or flowers next to it, and it's interesting. I'm wearing my work boots, so in case my dog runs off, I'm not chasing after her barefoot. So here's the tree. It's dead, but it's very pretty. And there's these weird things that are in it. I don't know what that's for. And it has crazy holes that I like. But here's the pretty red things. Flowers. No, they're leaves. Those are leaves. Oh. I like you. What is that?
She reaches down and lifts a clean white animal skull from the leaves. Empty eye sockets, prominent canines, not decomposing, just sitting there like it had been placed. A clean skull lying at the base of a dead tree isn't automatically sinister, and she doesn't treat it that way. But for viewers who've seen what comes next in her footage, many believe it fits a pattern. Some think it's nothing more than a fox or raccoon that passed nearby. Others think the placement, at the root of a dead tree, in a yard where so much else would soon go wrong, is too deliberate to dismiss entirely. That changed everything. Back inside the house, around the same period, she captures something harder to rationalize. The dog, Luna, is already alert, running down the hallway toward a set of closed double doors. Watch.
Luna, come on.
The sleigh bells hanging from the doorknobs are shaking violently and ringing loud and fast, with nothing visible touching them. No draft, no person, nothing in contact with the doors. Luna runs straight toward them, which is the detail that gets me. Dogs typically flee from things that startle them, not charge toward them, which some viewers interpret as Luna trying to confront whatever's on the other side. The bells stop almost the instant the front door opens. That abrupt silence is almost more unsettling than the ringing itself. A few days later, with a friend or family member visiting, things escalate inside the kitchen. The two women are talking casually, one of them chatting to a cat sitting on the counter, when something interrupts the whole room. Listen closely.
What you doing on the camera? Chilling here, being a kitty cat.
Did you do that?
A loud bang with no visible source, and then a bundle of what looks like dry spaghetti launches upward from behind a dining chair and arcs across the room, sending the woman in purple scrambling backward and nearly out of frame. The cat flinches. The camera operator asks, "Did you do that?" And the woman says simply, "No." Short answer, no explanation. Skeptics argue a person hidden behind the chair could have thrown it, but the trajectory, up and outward from floor level, is difficult to account for without being caught on camera. Poltergeist activity, according to those who study it, often follows this pattern: small, disruptive, physical. Objects moved or thrown, not by a ghost in the traditional sense, but by a kind of displaced energy sometimes associated with periods of high stress or emotional tension in a household. Whatever the cause, the activity isn't slowing down. Caught on her Nest security camera at 11:23 a.m., the footage shows her lying on the couch in pink pajamas when the entire room is rattled. Watch. A sharp, loud bang from somewhere off camera, silent, percussive, echoing, jolts her straight up, and she runs out of the room within seconds, disappearing through a background doorway. The camera shakes with the impact. There's no visible source, no falling object in frame, nothing displaced in the room itself. She doesn't come back on screen. What's compelling about this one is that it's a security camera. She didn't choose to film this moment. It was recorded automatically, which makes staging it considerably harder to argue. The same day or around it, Luna is standing on her hind legs at the window, visibly agitated, when the woman notices the bathroom faucet is running at full blast. She turns it off and walks back to the living room. Then, it happens again. Watch.
And water's on. She's flipping out.
Holy crap, Mom! What are you eating? Mom, really feel the purpose. I'll probably feel better.
Literally just turned back on as soon as I sat down.
I don't see the force.
Oh my god. Luna.
She's barely sat down when the water turns back on by itself, audible from a different room, and she has to go shut it off a second time. Then the doorbell rings clearly, and when she checks the window and the porch, there's nobody there. Not across the street, not on the path, not near the mailbox. Luna is already at the door before she gets there. Some viewers think this cluster of events, the faucet, the bell, the dog's fixation on unseen things, points to an intelligent presence, one that's interacting with the house rather than just haunting a specific room. Others suggest a plumbing fault for the faucet and a technical glitch for the doorbell, but the timing, back to back in the same clip, makes the mundane explanations feel strained. The last clip shifts the setting outdoors at dusk to a dirt path bordered by dark trees. Luna has already appeared in several of these clips, reacting before her owner does, and in this one that pattern reaches its most extreme point. The woman is walking Luna on the leash through what looks like an open field at the edge of the tree line when Luna stops cold, locks her gaze on something ahead in the darkness, and refuses to move. Watch.
Luna. 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 What?
go home. Luna, go home. Come on. No, 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 no. Luna, come on. Stop.
After a long, still moment of staring into the dark, Luna bolts forward with enough force to pull the leash completely out of the woman's hand and runs into the field. The woman calls her back urgently. Luna, go home. No, no. But Luna stays out in the dark, circling at a distance, occasionally stopping to look back toward the tree line as though tracking something. What dogs detect that cameras can't is the part of this footage that sits with you. Whether it's a scent, a sound outside human range, or something else entirely, Luna's behavior across all of these clips, the bells, the window, the porch, the field, follows the same shape. She knows something is there before her owner does, and whatever it is, it doesn't seem to be going anywhere. The following video was recorded by a man who was working a delivery run late at night when his route took him past a cemetery. The kind of moment most people would shrug off, except this time it didn't let him go. He's driving an SUV, dashcam running in split screen mode showing both the road ahead and the interior of the car, and you can see him glance over at the fence line as he sits at a red light, muttering quietly about the cemetery next to him. He keeps driving, keeps his composure, tells himself it's nothing. And then something enters his car. Watch.
Doing my usual Uber eating, dropping off some food. I swear, this all address gotta be set by a cemetery. But I see this again, I'm just not gonna accept it. So I'll tell you that. Make sure I'm not tripping. No. Make sure I'm not tripping. So, I'm dropping off the DoorDash. The Uber eating. I can't even get my daggone company straight. And you're gonna see a vibration. You're gonna see tapping at the window. You're definitely gonna hear it. Hell no. Hell no. Tripping. No, I'm not tripping. Oh, hell no, hell no, hell no, hell no. Hell no, hell no, hell no. Okay. What the? Why? What the? No. Oh hell, what the fuck? Shit, me. Shit. Hell, no. Hell. Nope. No.
There are 3 separate moments in this footage, and each one is harder to dismiss than the last. The first is the subtlest, a faint translucent shape in the back seat, there for barely a second before it's gone, and his gasp is immediate and unscripted. He pulls over near the cemetery, gets out to check the car, and that's when the second moment hits. A shoe on the discarded cardboard box moved. But the third moment is arguably the most unsettling. Back inside the car, his car didn't start, and while he was trying to figure out why, one of the doors opened itself. Some who've watched this point to the escalating nature of the encounters. Subtle entry, then external manifestation, then direct interference with the car's electronics. As behavior consistent with what some paranormal traditions describe as an attachment in transit, a presence that latches onto a person rather than a location. Others think the proximity to the cemetery is the key detail. There's a long-held belief across multiple cultures that spirits tied to burial grounds are territorial, and that passing too close, especially at night, can invite something to follow. What do you think crossed into that car? The following videos were recorded by a man who had just finished construction work on a house that had been sitting completely empty for months. But one day, the slats of the blinds push apart from the inside 3 separate times, creating a V-shaped gap. And a dark shape, consistent with fingers, briefly appears in that opening before the blinds snap back into place. No one was there. The house had been vacant, and he insists no person was inside when this was filmed. Some viewers chalked it up to air pressure or a draft catching the slats at just the right angle. Others weren't buying it, pointing out the deliberate, repeated nature of the movement. 3 times, same motion, same spot, as if whatever was on the other side of those blinds kept coming back to look out. That detail is hard to dismiss. Then, it got worse. Listen closely.
Hey! Missy? Miss? That looks fucking weird. What the frick is going on here, brother?
a loud, sharp thump rocks the space at around the 11-second mark, and right after it, the night vision on the security camera flickers completely off before snapping back on. He stops, startled, calls out, "No answer." Then, as he moves deeper down the hall, a long groaning sound, low, drawn out, with no visible source anywhere in that empty building. Skeptics argue an unfinished structure naturally settles and shifts, especially at night when temperatures drop. But the sequencing here is what makes that harder to accept. The sounds don't drift or fade the way passive settling does. They escalate, one after another, almost like something in that house was making itself known on purpose. What would you do in this situation? The following video was recorded by a home security camera and later shared to YouTube by a man named Charlie on his channel, where he claimed the footage was captured outside his property late one night. The camera overlooked a quiet yard, with a parked pickup truck in the foreground and a road running along a tree line in the distance, all of it lit by the yellow-orange glow of a nearby street lamp. At first, nothing seemed unusual. The footage looked like any ordinary overnight security recording, but while reviewing the video, Charlie noticed something near the stop sign on the right side of the road and called his partner over to watch it with him. Watch closely.
And watch the stop sign on the left or on the right hand side. It materializes. There's the head and shoulders
the person
walking down the road, turns and walks up the road and disappears behind the tree.
That's just freaking nuts.
A translucent, human-shaped figure is seen on the road, head and shoulders clearly visible, and walks calmly from right to left before turning up a path and vanishing completely behind a tree, never emerging on the other side. What makes this harder to dismiss is that the figure doesn't run, doesn't flicker out mid-stride. It just walks, deliberately, and then it's simply gone. Some viewers think it's a classic residual haunting, a kind of energy imprint replaying a path someone once walked so often it burned itself into the location. Others aren't sure that explanation covers something you can watch materialize out of nothing. What do you think was walking that road? Now, in this next video, a man who works at a cemetery has been documenting a string of increasingly strange incidents coming from the garage on the property, a locked, cluttered workshop filled with lawn equipment, tools, and what he's starting to believe is something that doesn't clock out. Over the past few days, he's reported a white door slamming shut on its own, 3 loud knocks against it while it was still open, and lights flickering on and off through the windows before he even unlocks the place. He's calm about it, almost too calm, which is either the sign of someone who's gotten used to something, or someone who's made peace with something they can't explain. On this particular morning, while he's walking through the garage with a camera and talking through what he'd experienced before hitting record, it happens again. Watch.
Alright, so I am up here at the cemetery, and I wish I would have caught it, but I was just getting my stuff together for the day. And I had this door open along with this bay door, and this door just slammed shut so loud, and I swear prior to it slamming I heard 3 knocks on it while it was open. I have no explanation. I have no explanation. I don't know what the hell that was. It was 3 super loud knocks, and then the door slammed shut so loud, so fast too. It was like, oh, I wish I would have caught it. Good morning. Sorry, I forgot to say good morning. Did you drop your tool? I'll get it for you. I'll put it on the workbench.
A sudden, jarring metallic clatter erupts from somewhere inside the garage, completely off camera, and the camera jolts as he spins around searching for the source. What he finds is a socket wrench extension lying on the concrete floor. No one else is in the building, and he can't account for how it got there. But here's the thing about the way he responds. He doesn't run. He picks it up, places it on the workbench, and quietly says, "Is that better?" Addressing whatever threw it as if it were a coworker who knocked something off a shelf by accident. Some viewers find that the strangest part. Skeptics would argue the tool could have fallen from a surface nearby, but the force of that clatter and the timing of it are harder to explain away. That simply, the next morning he pulls in and notices the lights in the locked workshop are flashing on and off through the window, and when they finally stay on, he thinks he sees a dark shadow dart past the glass. He unlocks the door and goes in to investigate. Listen closely.
Alright, so I just arrived to the cemetery and through that window saw the lights flashing 3 times, on, off, on, off, on, off. They are now off. I waited like a minute. They didn't turn back on, but the last time they flashed on, I could have swore I saw a dark shadow dart by that window. So we're gonna go right in, unlock the door. We're gonna say good morning right off the bat. Good morning. Good morning. I saw the lights on. Good morning. It looked like something darted by that window right there. Now I don't see anything. We're gonna turn the lights on. Good morning. Just here to work. I saw the lights. I saw the lights flickering. Do you need help? Did you lose something? Morning. Yesterday I saw it dart by that window as I walked in. It blocked all that out. Oh, shit.
He's mid-sentence when another loud clatter cuts through the silence and a small black circular object appears on the concrete floor near one of the mowers, seemingly thrown from nowhere. His voice drops, his breathing shifts, and he starts whispering, clearly rattled despite having been through this before. He'd seen the shadow dart past that same window the day before, which suggests whatever's in that space isn't a one-time occurrence, but something that keeps showing up. Then, on yet another visit, arriving to find the lights on again in a building he'd left locked and dark, he unlocks the door, steps inside, and whispers that he can see footprints near one of the windows. Watch closely.
Alright, I'm up here at the cemetery, just pulled in, and saw the light flash on, flash off. Saw something go by this window, and the lights are on right now. The lights are literally on, still on right now. This is the first time I actually caught the lights while they're still on. Good morning. These lights were off Friday when I left, and now they are on. This is the first time I caught them. They were flashing when I pulled in. This is the first time I caught them actually staying on. Good morning. Oh yeah. No prints. Something flashed in front of this window right here. What the was that? Good morning. Okay. You don't have to throw my headphones. I mean, they're not expensive, but they're not cheap. Actually caught the light staying on this time. You know, you better pitch in for this electric bill if you're going to keep these lights on.
Two separate metallic clatter sounds erupt one after the other from an unseen source, and when he finally locates the disturbance, he finds his own headphones thrown onto the floor next to one of the mowers. Some people also heard a cat's meow somewhere inside the garage, and while that's been floated as a natural explanation for some of the noises, it doesn't account for all of them, and it certainly doesn't explain the lights turning themselves on between visits. What's living in that workshop, and what exactly does it want with the man who mows the cemetery?